Good evening, I'm Ryan Leicester, and this is episode 21 of the Wolves Report, where tonight we'll be doing our best to analyse the Spurs game, talking about the measured press, Dendoncker, Cundle, Semedo, Bruno's flexibility, what is Wolves' strongest 11 when everyone's fit, taking more questions hopefully last week, and looking ahead to Leicester. Now, I think we're going to start off the show with a couple of apologies in the form of our regular pundits. Our own Steve Sidwell and Yap Stam. I'll let you work out which one's which in terms of the form of Mark Knock and Chris Tyler. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. Good evening. And the floor is yours for the apologies.
Yeah, I'm not going to apologise. However, what I learnt is that I know absolutely nothing about football. I've been following this team 35 years. We lost to Norwich. We go and lose to Arsenal. And as far as I'm concerned, we're back in League One in a couple of weeks. And then we go out and we absolutely batter Spurs, and now I'm pretty sure we can win the Six Nations. It's just I can't figure this game out. I genuinely can't. The more I watch it, the more confused I get. But they were brilliant. They were absolutely brilliant. And I'll tell you what, I was above anything else, above the points, above anything else we achieved in the game. I was really proud of that team because I thought the way they reacted, the discipline, the passion, the determination to win that football match, and even in the last knock into the game, the refusal to concede a goal. They were solid, they were in shape, positionally they were brilliant. It was an absolutely phenomenal performance. It really was. And to be fair, it's become a little bit of a playground for us at Spurs lately, hasn't it? I think that's 3 wins out of the last 4 games we've had. So, but yeah, I can't fault anyone. I looked at the team. I thought Cundle and Dendoncker in a little bit concerned. I've seen Kundle a couple of times. Definitely got a very, very bright future, but there's always that little bit of concern playing in front of 54,000 people for your debut. How's he going to cope with it? But I thought he was absolutely sensational. I thought he controlled the midfield really well. Didn't do anything spectacular. Didn't do anything that I've seen him do in the under 23s. But what he did was he did everything right. And I think the important thing now is that we've genuinely got a fourth option in midfield that we could use now. So yeah, I can't fault anyone. I thought they were absolutely sensational.
Tyler, how's that prediction looking, mate?
He's going to live on this forever, you know that, don't you?
I said 2-0, so I was right. I'm with Knocker. We're probably a bit emotional sometimes, and if Wolves lose, we're getting relegated, and if we win, we're going to win the league. That's how I see it. I just didn't see that one coming at all. I thought Norwich was flat. I thought Arsenal was flat, and like we said last week, it seemed that there was something missing, and a bit of the energy had gone. But like Knocker said, it was all back on Sunday with Anson, wasn't it? I thought we were excellent. And what I liked was the clinical aspect. We often talk about how wasteful we are. We don't take our chances. And Lloris gave us an opportunity and we took it. And then Dendoncker did exactly what you want him to do. We got on the end of something to make it 2-0. Could have been 3, could have been 4. Podence had the chances. And like Knocker says, we battered them a bit, really, first half. And we never looked like conceding a goal, in my opinion.
No, not at all.
I thought it was as a comfortable 2-0 as you're going to get. And I thought Tottenham ran out of ideas. I thought the back 3 was superb. And like Knocker said, it was a very, very good win. And to be honest, very comfortable in the end as well.
Well, yeah, it was an absolute breath of fresh air, and I did call it. And I got to admit, I kind of was pressed into it a bit because you boys, you'd all went negative. I can't have hosting the podcast and we're all going lose. But part of my reasoning was we haven't just turned into a bag team after 2 defeats. So you know what? There's always that chance. Wolves always win at Spurs, and not only that, you know what? Spurs and those teams around us, there's not a lot of difference between them and us. And we went there more positive. We got in their faces earlier on. We punished them. They was not expecting that. That first 25 minutes until they made the change, we absolutely bossed that midfield. Neves was free and he ran that game early on. And like you said, it's a tremendous result. I mean, our group chat has taken a massive swing for the positive since that full-time whistle went, and thank goodness for that. So yeah, I'm absolutely delighted. But to the result itself, let's talk about the setup. I got to be honest, I was a little bit surprised it was 3-5-2. I was expecting 3-4-3. Kundle's come in, but I believe before the game, in the run-up to the game, the scouts, I don't know where I read or heard this, but the scouts had told Bruno that what the weak area of the pitch was in terms of their midfield. So we outnumbered them and the plan worked. So tactically, absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, completely agree. I think it wasn't just tactically where we can hurt them. I think tactically where we can manage them as well. Because if you look at the way we defended against Son and Kane, Max in particular, he gave Son 5 or 6 yards space, but he didn't leave a lot of room behind him, and he was always shaping to bring him on the outside of him. He was always shaping to take him away from goal. And I thought the way the back three managed what was a really dangerous Spurs attack. I mean, Kane's not been in the best form this season, we know that, but he's still a world-class player. Son, for me, is still a world-class player. And, you know, we gave him a few chances, but you're always going to give away chances against a team like that. But I thought we managed the game really, really well. And you know, there was nothing really clear-cut from them, which I think was really impressive. And like you say, we set up in a way that completely nullified Spurs in midfield. And I thought every time we turned the ball over, we were back into shape. We got back into position straight away. Whereas with Spurs, every time we went at them, it looked like we could score goals. They were ragged. We were pulling them out of position. We were finding loads of space in between the midfield and the defence. We had all the time in the world to play. And you give Neves that kind of time, he's going to rip you to pieces. I thought Semedo was brilliant. I thought Ainuri was brilliant. But we had a real idea. It was like we were reading a book on how to beat them. It was inch perfect.
Yeah, it was.
It was.
Go on.
No,
I was just going to say, there was an intent in the performance. I think, like we said, Norwich and Arsenal were flat. And we used to see Wolves keep the ball, go back to the keeper, start again. But the first half an hour was like a Wolves we hadn't really seen for such a long time, maybe since the real start of the season, where it was front foot football. And the first goal came from sort of Neves looking. He could easily have passed it sideways or turned and started again. Straight into Cody, start again, recycle it and scored. There was just an intent from the attacking play that I hadn't really seen probably since those first 3 games of the season, where we were, you know, so unlucky not to score. And that was a big difference for me. Like you said, Mark, we just came out of the blocks and we were on the front foot, and Spurs probably weren't expecting it and couldn't cope with it.
It was a lot like the Man. Sorry, right? It was a lot like the Man U game, wasn't it? You could see what we were trying to do from the off. We knew where to hurt them, and we had an absolute rigid game plan of how to attack and how to defend. And it was real credit to everybody at the club, manager, everybody. They're set up in a real intelligent fashion.
You've got to look as well in terms of, there's 2 things for me that made the performance: the bravery and the shape. First of all, the bravery. If you're prepared to leave Sace, Kilman and Cody in a one-on-one situation against Harry Kane, arguably one of the best number 9s in the world, Son, who's unplayable on his day, and Lucas Moura, who's the same. And I mean, if imagine someone telling us this 3 years ago, we're prepared to go man for man against them. But what a job they did. I mean, we're going to talk about Kilman in a bit, but defensively, it was excellent. It was so good. And because of their bravery to squeeze it that high, we just flooded them early on. And if we'd have gone in 3 or 4-0 at half time, nobody could have complained. Nobody could have said that's unjust, because it probably should have been 3-0. But the fact that we scored so quickly, the belief then in the team and the way we controlled it, and I can't remember the exact sub, but they changed the shape to 4 at the back to put an extra man in midfield, so they went with a 3. And that kind of slowed down a bit, because our 3 were absolutely butchering their 2. Neves was free again, and he was switching it left and right, and it was like a training game for Neves that first 20 minutes. It was absolutely class. So, yeah, I mean, I could not be happier. Now, talking about the goals, they're a little bit scrappy, but you've got to get in those positions. So, do you know what I mean? I mean, Dendoncker, we've been crying out for him to get in those positions. He's followed it up. He's read it. Yes, there's a double deflection. It's gone off the post, but you've got to be there. And Jimenez, after Dendoncker's sort of fluffed his lines for that shot, that's a great finish under pressure. Chest and volley into the far corner. I mean, what a finish. So, yeah, the away end was good. It was just the buzz is back. The result seems to be going our way. It's back on, boys, isn't it?
No point asking me, son.
Yeah,
no point asking me. I think sorry, son. I think going back to the goals, you're right. They were sloppy, but we forced them into that. I mean, you've got Podence chasing down the goalkeeper, which forces a poor pass out wide. It's Ben Davies who gives it straight back to us. And the first goal, it was just
Kundle won the ball back.
Kundle won it back. We were just at him all the time. We didn't give him time to breathe. And every time our back line had the ball, you can see Cody looking up, and he's got 3 or 4 seconds to pick what he wants to do with the ball. And we didn't give them any kind of freedom defensively. We were at them and we were in their faces. And it was, you know, I could wax lyrical about it all day, because it was an absolutely sensational performance. And is it back on? Well, we beat Leicester, it is for certain, because I think we've got to be looking up now. I mean, it's like tonight, we've just had the discussion before we came on that we want Brighton to win that game, because, you know, let's have the ambition to look above us as opposed to below us now, because they've earned that.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, you can't help but when you're looking at it, wherever you're in the table, the results range, you're hoping they go your way. And I don't think we could have asked for better results. I mean, I know a few of the teams win. You're not going to expect all the teams above you at the top of the Premier League not to be winning, but the results couldn't be going better for us at the moment. And that opportunity, like you said, Knocker, let's get a positive result at Leicester, reassess and see where we are again then. So absolutely brilliant. But just moving on to what you said then, I want to talk about that measured press in a little bit more detail. As you rightly said there, Knocker, with Bedence, but the first one, there was a squeeze on from Kundle. I think it was followed up with Neves, a little 1-2 on the edge of the box, sort of slow 1-2 with Cody, got it back, shot. And we squeezed in. Even when we had the shot, we were still pressing then and sort of anticipating the follow-up. And Bedence, he has his critics sometimes, but he's nasty, isn't he? He's bitter, and he really chased down that keeper, forced him into it. Ben Davies with a horror show clearance, and we've done it. So that measured press, that bravery from the front, defending from the front, that's as good as I've seen in terms of Wolves pressing like that. I know we've pressed occasionally before in the old Nuno days. There's been some games when there's been a squeeze and we've had a chance to do it, but with that intensity, that effectively, Tyler, I don't think I've ever seen it that good from Wolves.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think the intent was as good as I've seen, and I was made quite a good article about how we actually shaped up that first half an hour, and there was a bit of a 5-2-3 about it, where sort of Dendoncker then pushed on, and then as soon as Tottenham gave the ball to Davis, basically Wolves said, "Okay, well you have it, mate." They'd almost highlighted him as the weak link to push forward, give it away, and then we'd recycle and look to attack them. So there's obviously a lot of thought gone into it, and like you said, I mean. Not a lot has been mentioned about the goals, but we've been on the end of scrappy goals forever, haven't we? I mean, look at the Arsenal win; it was just horrible and scrappy. So it's nice to get a horrible, scrappy goal. And I thought Jimenez, again, if that's like a Man City or a Liverpool player, they'd talk about it all day. It's just a nonchalant chest and volley.
Yeah, easy, wasn't it for him?
It's a world-class finish. The keeper's had a mare, but the finish was brilliant. So you take scrappy goals all day long. They're as good as the others, aren't they? You want Dendoncker getting in the box, you want him getting on the end of things, and I think he certainly suits playing in a 3, doesn't he? But I think we argued last week in a 2, he probably doesn't bring enough to the team. But Brentford away and Sunday, when he's that extra man in midfield, he's worth his value there, isn't he?
Yeah, in terms of the press, I think that was helped. I know Dendoncker did push forward, but I would say Kundle pushed forward on the other side as well. He was getting further up the pitch and he almost overlapped Nori a couple of times as well.
Side.
Yeah. So that it really helped. There was sort of a measure from both, and it balanced it out. But that press, I'm not sure we can do that every week. But it's almost like we'd seen the side, we'd proper analyse them to within a millimetre of their lives. We knew they were vulnerable, and the plan was perfect. So I want to see more of this press. I'm not sure we could do it every week. But
do you think it's more suited to the away games, like Mark said? We've won 4 away games.
It's brave, isn't it, to press though? It's brave to press. I mean, arguably, that Spurs front line on paper is one of the best forward lines in the Premier League. It's a top class forward line. Son, Kane, Lucas Moura. It's brave to do that, isn't it? So that would tell you could probably do against other teams. But just because I think of where Spurs are at the moment, particularly lacking in confidence. I think they'd lost the week before at home, conceded a couple of goals against Southampton, 3 goals against Southampton. Yeah, we saw an opportunity for someone that was vulnerable and we took it. And I couldn't be proud of them. To be that brave, I know I keep repeating it, but to be that brave away from home against that forward line takes courage. And they believed it from the off. They got the reward with that goal. They pressed again. They got another one. And we pressed again in the second half, and we could have got one there as well when Kundle put Jimenez through.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's here to stay every week, but I hope we see more of it.
I think with the press, there's different ways to press. You can be the headless chicken where you're just closing people down for the sake of it. But we don't really do that. We hold our lines, and then when the opportunity is there, that's when we press. It's not, it's not a 90-minute charging and trying to close them down. We wait. We're intelligent. I think when you can trust your back line and your goalkeeper, it gives you the freedom for your Neves to step forward an extra 10, 15 yards and just bring the game forward. And you're pressing just by naturally squeezing the positions on the pitch. So I don't think we quite realise just how good this team is and just how good this manager is, because it is, you just get the feeling it's methodical. Everything is methodical, right down to looking at each individual player. Where can we hurt them? Where can we get at them? And I think we're maybe even underselling just potentially what we've got in terms of our team and our management structure, because there's just something there that just seems really really intelligent. It's like after the Man United game, and he came on telly and he just ripped Man United's tactics completely to pieces and told everyone how to beat them. You know, you can see that there's some real clever workings going on behind there. So yeah, I'm with you. I'm really, really proud, and we can press, and we press in the right areas, and that's what we're doing at the moment. And if we can get that right against Leicester, they'll give you a lot of space behind.
You make a really good point there, and I think I was talking to my dad about this in the week as well. I don't think we just realise how talented some of these players are. Yes, we're disappointed. We had a couple of home defeats. It didn't just turn into a bad team, but the way they control parts of that game, the game management, Neves's touch, the way he does it. I know Jimenez is a bit hit and miss at the moment, yeah, but he's back on the goals. I'm delighted, but we're talking about players that are like known around the world in football that we've got playing for Wolverhampton Wanderers. And I know people say, "Oh, you know, I mean, look where you've come from. We've got to be ambitious," but you're allowed to take a step back and think, wow,
absolutely.
Look at the footballers playing for our football club at the moment. I mean,
but look at some of the one-touch passing. Some, you know, they get in trouble in midfield, and they're not. It's not like the old days where you just walloped it down and tried to get yourself up the pitch. There's little one-touch football. There's triangles. There's intelligent movement. If we need to go back and recycle the ball and start again, we'll do that. And I remember the first time we got promoted, watching teams absolutely run us ragged because they never give us the ball. When we lost the ball, we never got it back. And that's what we're doing to teams at the moment. You know, we're so composed and cultured on the ball. And, you know, it's just really, really intelligent. If you're neutral watching Wolves, or if you're an opposition team, you don't want to play Wolverhampton Wanderers at the moment. You really don't. We you know, other than the top two, I think we're probably the next team you don't want to play because you know we can shut you down.
Just to bring in some comments, just on that subject. Last week it was such an action-packed show. Didn't get enough questions on as I'd like to get on and comments. So I'm going to make more an effort to try and get the comments on and questions from Twitter as well. So yeah, Sean, fair play to the scouts who told Bruno to go with that formation. Yeah, you got to. It's like as Knocker said, there's not just the manager and the players, the team, the scouting network are going seeing, identify where Spurs' weaknesses, and the manager, because the scouts tell him doesn't always mean they're going to have to do it, took the advice and paid the dividends. Thanks for your comments. Any comments on as well? What I'd also say is last week we tried to get some predictions in. I don't think I mentioned it early enough. Knocker's going to run a chart. I don't think he's done his chart from last week yet. But
how many points are you on, Knocker?
Let's just start from this week.
Okay.
I don't think we had any predictions in last week, did we? So
we did, but we didn't put them on the screen, and that's my bad. So right, just jumping in now. If you've got a prediction for next weekend, we're going to run a competition. The budget isn't very big, I'm afraid, but at the end of the season, we'd like whoever with the points tally to come on and join us on the show if you'd like to. We'd like first scorer and your prediction for the game. That's it. We know Knocker and Tyler are going to Wolves lose. That's fine. They're usually wrong. I was right, but there we go. Anyway.
All the time. Just on that, if we can ask people, if you're doing it on Twitter, if you can hashtag the Wolves Report predictions, and then we can just correlate them all and get the chart up and running for next week.
Brilliant. That'll be Knocker on that. So just moving off to the measure press. Let's go through a few more comments as well. Just a quick comment here. I'd seen an interesting one, and this is Hungry Like the Wolf. Have you noticed like all the pundits have woken up at Wolves this week, from Match of the Day to Michael Richards on his pad, even talking on Talk Sport. The ninja mission is over. Time to shout out. Well, it was nice to be first on Match of the Day. I'm not going to complain about that. I did mention a tweet in the week as well saying this is, I don't know if you've seen it after the game, they want to put on when I scrubbed Wolves out the league table. This is out of national media, but people are going to have to stand up and take notice of us. If you're winning away at Spurs 2-0, and if you win your games in hand, you go fourth in the Premier League into Champions League football, people have got to stand up and notice. Now, would you rather us carry on under the radar, or is it time to get a bit of recognition, boys?
Keep me under the radar all day long. All day, you know, it just suits us, doesn't it, as a football club? And yeah, that chap's right. Henry Winters did an article, and Shearer was waxing lyrical on Match of the Day, and yeah, Micah Richards has, you know, put his 2 pence in. But you know, for me, I'm just comfortable to be under the radar, just, you know, flirting with the top 4, top 6, and just see where it takes us. You know, that Micah Richards made a good point in a way that we probably don't have the expectation to finish in the top 4, and that could work in our favour. You know,
good point. That was
huge pressure on Arsenal, Man U, Tottenham financially. I mean, that stadium isn't going to pay for itself, is it? So there is a pressure on those teams to do it, and it's a free hit for Wolves, isn't it? Like Knocker said, let's see where we go, play the games, and let's see where we finish.
Just to be in that conversation, though. I mean, we're 20 plus games in, and I mean, you don't like you say, you don't like to look back and say, "Oh, I remember when we were in League One," but you do sometimes have to take a step back and think Wolves are in a conversation to potentially finish in the Champions League next year. Could you imagine that anthem booming out at Molyneux in front of a full house?
Honestly, I'd probably melt down, to be honest. I'm not.
Oh, mate.
At the start of this season, I was just happy with comfortable survival and a cup run. And this is crazy.
It's frightening, we all had the same thing. I mean, we know the squad isn't big enough. We know that regardless of what's said, he wanted more players than he's got. So to get us anywhere near the conversation, it's just absolutely phenomenal for me. And if ever we could pinch it, it'd definitely be a proudest day in life.
Oh, it'd be unbelievable. I mean, we've talked about the measure.
As a football fan or just in general?
Oh.
Mate, you know my feelings about kids. I've got them. But if you're offering me a Champions League winners medal or another kid, mate, then let's have it.
Oh,
let's have that gorgeous ball at Molyneux.
What a lovely humans we have on the Wolves report. Let's move things back to the football before someone knocks on Knocker's door. We talked about the Spurs game. We talked about the measure press. It's been a while since we've done this because it's not really been something that's come up. But I think each time we give, particularly in that performance, a bit of credit to Dendoncker because, I mean, I mentioned this in the week in another format. If you love your fantasy football points, he's got an assist, he's got a goal, and he's got his 3 bonus points. He's had an absolute flyer for a player that probably should do more in the opponent's penalty box. But not only that, I thought defensively he was good. He tracked, he won the ball back well. He wasn't wasteful with the ball. I think that was Leander Dendonker's best game in a Wolves shirt. What do you think, gents?
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. I think he was very good. I want to see more of that from him. I think for a guy his size, I don't think he imposes himself as much as he probably should, and I want to see him get into the area a little bit more. But he was great. I thought there was a moment where he looked like they're getting past him. He manages to win the ball back, turn himself off, and get back into the midfield position. He didn't really give the ball away. It was just a very, very solid performance. And I think we all know, the ideal midfield two is always going to be Neves and Moutinho this season. But we've got a genuine option in him now where you can, in games like that where you're potentially going to be under a little bit more pressure, you can go to a 3 and you're not going to be panicking about it as perhaps we would have been at the a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, brilliant goal, assist, and an all-round, pretty close to a man of the match performance.
Yeah, I mean, Tyler, I know we haven't been critical of Dendoncker, but we've more been frustrated with a lack of what he can do in comparison to Joe Moutinho. Now, if you're comparing most people to Joe Moutinho, it's not really a fair argument because the guy is just absolutely wonderful with the football. But in a 3, Dendoncker gives a lot more to Wolves than he does in a 2 because it just worked for him on Sunday. Now, whether that was just part of the plan, but whatever he did, everything. Now, I personally think Dendoncker is much better when he hasn't got time to think on the ball. When he's alongside somebody, puts the shoulder in, turns, lays it off. When he's keeping it simple, it's ticking like that. I think you get the best from Dendoncker. Like when he was following him for the goal, he didn't have to think about it. He was just there, right time, and put it in. And that when Dendoncker's like that, he looks every bit like he should be playing for Belgium. Tyler.
Yeah, you're both right, but I think we need to calm down a little bit. Don't we? It's a bit like the argument at the start. You win a game and you're going to win the league. He's had a good game.
But he deserves credit because he's been quiet and he does. I'm not saying he's going to win the Ballon d'Or or we should sign a 5-year deal on 200 grand a week. What I'm saying is, statistically, he was Wolves' best player, and we need to give him a little bit of love.
Yeah, he suits. Like I said, he suits a 3. He can't play in a 2, and no one will ever convince me he's good enough to play in the midfield 2 in the Premier League.
I agree.
If you've got the luxury, is it a luxury of having an extra man in there? It suits him. He can get forward with a little bit of a license where he's getting on the end of things. Like you say, technically he's not great, but he'll, like you said, he'll sometimes do that little sideways turn. He does find the pass, keepers ticking over. I think he's a good squad player. He can cover positions. He's a valuable member of the squad, but I just think there's a lot more to come from him. Mark's right, for a big strapping centre midfielder, you probably just expect a little bit more.
He's quite gentle for a bloke that's massive.
For a big guy,
he's quite gentle, isn't he, in his approach? Yeah,
he's got to sort that run out, though, isn't he? He's got to sort that run out.
Mate, if he assists and scores every week, he can run however he wants.
He looks like he's running with 2 handbags on his shoulders.
Just to drop in a complaint from one of our loyal viewers, Cat Tyler is not topless. A bet is a bet. Now, we're currently in discussions with our legal team about how we can rectify this. We have got an idea. I think he's going to be making a charitable donation, but we're told he hasn't waxed or hasn't tanned because the amount of work he's been doing, and that was the reason for him not going in. So, Red Victor, I do apologise. I hope it hasn't disappointed you too much.
I was going to say,
that's more of a concern, but we're all off to Everton in a few weeks for Knocker's birthday, and we're sharing a room. So I'll let you know what it looks like.
Let's not. That could go downhill pretty quick.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, Victor. A bit like Ryan said, if you're banking on that, mate, yeah, it's bad times. But the Met Police did a thorough investigation and found no evidence that it was ever commented. And you know what they're like, solid establishment. So
I think just going back to Dendoncker, I think we need to look at Bruno with him as well, because we've had the discussion before that he has improved at least 90% of the squad, I would say. And I think we may be starting to see that with Dendoncker. And Tyler's right, it's only one game. Let's not get too excited. But what I did notice, he was playing him a little bit further forward for me. I thought he was pressing a little bit more than he has done. He usually sits a little bit deeper. So, maybe he's unlocked. Yeah, maybe he's unlocked something in him.
He's got a great engine. Well, you look on that right hand side, overlapping and getting forward, and when it works, it was stretching them. They didn't know what to do, and not quite as much as Dendoncker, but Kundle was doing the same on the other side, and it just, for whatever reason, however Spurs lined up, it worked for us, didn't it? They played into our hands, and it worked a treat. And like you guys say, I couldn't be prouder. So anyway, I know it's killing you to praise Dendoncker, Tyler. So
I haven't praised him.
Yeah. Well, you did. You went. I can't agree with you guys. But anyway, let's talk about Kundle. Imagine, I know it's a long time ago back, especially for me, being 19. You're a youth academy stroke player, 23 development player, and you make your debut at, for me, what's the best stadium I've ever been to, Spurs, the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, whatever it's called. And I mean, you have a bit of a quiet first 5 minutes, and then you've got, come the end of the game, you're sharing a pitch with Ruben Neves, but you've got the highest pass completion rate, and you've won 2-0. How's that guy feeling? I mean, wasn't spectacular, didn't overplay, did what he had to do, lots of energy, got a cramp at the end, not surprised. I mean, I know we talked about this the other week with Toti Gomez. If we'd have signed that kid for 20 million from the Championship and that was his debut and he was 19, you'd go, he looks promising, doesn't he?
Yeah, I thought it was a real risk putting him in. I mean, I saw him for the under-23s against Birmingham at St Andrews a month ago or something. Yeah. And he was everywhere. He curled a beautiful strike into the top corner and he was all over the pitch. But he played really, really intelligently against Spurs. He held his position. He didn't try anything he shouldn't have been trying. He was just very, very controlled. And if you saw his interview afterwards, he seems like a pretty grounded, intelligent lad with just the right amount of arrogance about him. So, yeah, I was really impressed with him. I was really happy with his performance. And it's like we said earlier, we've been crying out for another midfielder because we haven't got enough options. But we now have got 4 players that can play in that position. And in terms of how's he feeling, at that age, like you say, you've turned up at a stadium like that and dominated the Spurs midfield. If you don't take confidence with that and it doesn't improve you as a player, then you need to hang your boots up already, don't you?
I mean, got to think, boys, what were we all doing when we were 19? Where were we living and what we were doing? That kid's living the dream and fair play. So what was your take on him, Tyler, for his debut?
Yeah. Just like you boys have said, just neat and tidy, wasn't it? And I think it was, he nearly got his assist, didn't he? Lovely pass for him in their second half.
Should have scored.
Great touch and vision. So he's obviously got a pass in him, but it was faultless, wasn't it? Really, like I said, just neat and tidy. Just kept the ball, kept it moving, kept it ticking over. Good positional awareness. Obviously, he's a good listener. He knew exactly what the tactics were. And difficult for him. He hasn't really. Has he gone on loan? Has he played? Didn't play the game where
it's all been at Wolves. Yeah,
he's had about 7 minutes, hasn't he?
It's thrown in at the deep end, isn't it? And like we said, we've been critical of the model, but Gomez and Kundle, sort of proving that there are players there, young, up and coming, that can do a job for us. So hard to criticise.
Gomez and Kundle are both better than I expected. Yes, I've only seen Gomez for 3 games and Kundle for 1, but they've both already exceeded my expectations in terms of what I thought they could bring to this 11. And it shows, like you said, and that deserves some credit. The model does deserve some respect there. Yes, there's still a lot to sign someone in January. That's not going to change. And I think most of us will feel the same. But we're almost going to get through a show without talking about Adama Traore, apart from that bit, but because we've won now. But you know what? It's showing what we can do. And I'm good luck to the lad. Whether he plays next week, if Martinho's fit, I don't know. Whether we go to 3-4-3, I don't know. But that's also a great thing, because if we're switching it up every week, how on earth are your opponents supposed to know? I mean, how are they going?
There's options. It's nice to have options.
Yeah.
The bench was probably the strongest it's been since early part of the season. Johnny coming back, Wang coming back. You've got midfield, like Knocker said, you've got genuine midfield options now, where we thought we had 11 players and 2 keepers on the bench. We've now got a bit more about us. And if it's not working, or if someone has a dip in form, or there is an injury, it's a little bit more reassuring now that there is a bit of cover there. And like you said, I think you sent a text, didn't you, Ryan? Get Neto back and Bolly back if ever. The squad's looking okay, isn't it? It's looking
and Johnny as well, yeah.
And Johnny's obviously to come back, and if they can get some games under the belt and pick up minutes here and there, it's only a good thing, isn't it?
I think it's no accident how well these young kids have done, because when you've got a Connor Cody in your team, who's a natural leader, you're going to feel a little bit more secure. And he's had Ruben Neves playing around him as well, and we've got some real leaders in that team. So I think that'll give you, that extra little bit of confidence to believe in yourself when you've got someone like that behind you protecting you.
Just want to go on to a few Twitter questions, because I missed them out last week because we ranted about Zuma and the transfer window and all kinds of things. Tyler exploded. So Andy Frost on Twitter has said, if we are going to the next level, surely we keep Neves, Kilman and company. Bruno keeps saying the next level, boost their careers, etc. Discuss. I mean, he's bang on, and I think at the moment, I think we're still overachieving. Or without disrespecting the ability in the squad, I think we're overachieving for where we thought we'd be. But that doesn't mean we can't take it to the next level. If somehow Wolves make any kind of European football this season, Bruno will be probably manager of the year, because it'll be incredible. However, I think the only way we keep Neves, I think he'll go in the summer. I mean, I'm not trying to put doubt in it. He's a brilliant player. He's a Champions League footballer. If we get Europa League, we might keep him. If we got Champions League, I think he definitely stays. So I think at the end, he's loving it. The fans are singing his song. Neves loves this club. But equally, he's got to think now, I've been here, 4 or 5 years now. I've got to look at things, and I might win a trophy. So, yeah, great point from Andy Frost. I'm sure you guys, anything to add to that in terms of Andy's point?
I think you say about the players, but take the top 2 out of it. Name me a better goalkeeper in the Premier League. Name me a better centre-back than Max Kilman in the Premier League.
I can't do that. I can't do that, even if you include the top.
So you take out the top 2, and you've got 3 players there in their positions who have been as good as anybody else. So are we underachieving if there is, like you said a minute ago, there is genuine top quality in that team? Add into it other good players like Semedo, Aït-Nouri, Podence, Semedo. Like you said, Ryan, you've got a good side, and you haven't turned into a bad side overnight. So I think someone tweeted they would be disappointed if we finished 10th. I mean, I wouldn't be, but is it? I'm going to come
on that one shortly. Just bring this comment in from my dad. He's been talking about it a bit. He also said some derogatory things about you two and your predictions from last week, but I couldn't read them out on air. He said, "We're not worthy, son. You told us all, and we wouldn't listen." But Dad said Dad's been a big fan of Kilman for a while now. In the few games he's played, he said, and he did say 12 months ago, Kilman, I don't understand why he's not playing more, because he was in and out of the team. And now, Dad's saying here, in terms of, in my 50 years of watching Wolves, best centre-back I've seen, it's hard to think, now thinking now, in this season, yeah, I mean, Dad's been watching a lot longer. I mean, he's been watching this probably the same time as your dad's. But in my lifetime, the way he's performing, he's just pocketed Harry Kane. What did Harry Kane do? I mean, the whole defence pocketed him.
I completely agree. I think for me, I don't think, and it might seem like a bit of an exaggeration, I don't think there is a better all-round centre-half than Max Kilman in in the Premier League at the moment.
There's probably one, and he plays for Liverpool.
But is he? I mean, do you see him burst through midfield and beat 3 players and get down to the byline and cross the ball?
His ball carrying's phenomenal.
Yeah, mate.
The kid is incredible. He wins headers. How many times has he got that leg in at the last minute just to take the ball away and get us into good positions? I'll tell you what, he spends half the game looking bored because it's so easy for him. He does. He looks really lethargic. He just swans around. And...
Do you know? There's a really good point in there because he said this a year ago. His favourite time in training was when he faced Adama Traore. That's the kind of monster we've got in Max Kilman because he needs Adama Traore to battle with.
Exactly, because he's not scared of anyone. He doesn't look overwrought by it. He doesn't come onto the pitch. You don't look at him and think, "Oh, he looks a little bit nervous." He looks like he's just woken up. He's just so. He comes on the pitch. He throws his kit on the floor, stands there. Right, what am I going to do today? And he just absolutely dominates the strikers that are coming at him. He doesn't get beat. He doesn't get skinned for pace. He's intelligent enough to stand off when he needs to and shut the space down when he has to. He can manoeuvre across to cover Cody. He's all round. And we all know Van Dijk's world class, but look what he's got around him. Look at the options he's got behind him and in front of him. Kilman's getting under a lot more pressure than a Virgil van Dijk, and we've conceded less goals than them. So, you can make your own assumptions on who's the best in the world. But for me, if he's playing at Liverpool, he's already an England international. There's no doubt about that.
Fair. I just want to bring in Gary Winslow. Bruno kept saying about his staff and my career, if the season ends well, do you think he'll up sticks and go, especially as it's an offer from a bigger club in La Liga? Price of success, how invested is our Wolves in him and him in Wolves?
I think you have to remember that he hadn't got a job. He hadn't had a job for 18 months after one season.
There is a reason for that, though. And that's because, as far as I'm led to believe, that he knew that how long Nuno was going to stay for, that Wolves job was his. I believe he was been lined up for a while, and Villa approached him after a poor season.
He wouldn't leave after a season, then, would he? If that was the case, if he's waited a year or two, would he leave after a season?
I don't think so.
It's an attractive job, isn't it? Like I said, we're a bit old school, Leicester, aren't we? Like Mark said, we still think of the old days, but it's an attractive job, isn't it? We're an established Premier League side. He isn't going to get a job at the Big Six unless he goes.
He's already got one.
Exactly. Unless he goes to someone in Spain who might be mid-table or back to Portugal. Realistically, where's he going to go? That's a more lucrative option for him. I don't see him leaving, and I don't see a threat of him leaving myself. But
knock a quick answer on that.
No, I agree entirely. I mean, he would have known the budget. He would have known the system, what we were looking to do in terms of transfers before he got here. So I don't think it will come as any great surprise. There's no way they would have said, as soon as you come in, we're going to go spend 100 million to build you a new team. He would have had his expectations managed. So, no, I think he'll stick it out. I don't see any reason for him to leave.
Just on that, this is a good overlap question from Wayne. Wayne McKee, a regular listener and follower on us. Do you think Fossen will back Bruno in the summer? Don't need a big name players. Sure, if there's big names, should get them, but we'll try to bring improvements to our club. Fossen seems to scout young talent, so I have an issue that continues the way we are. What are your thoughts? Now, just briefly on this, Jan Martino is probably going to leave in the summer. I think he'd have signed a contract by now. Again, if Wolves get European football, he might want to stay and have a little bit more of that again. I don't know. So regardless, I think Wolves are going to have to spend in the summer to get another midfielder in. Just quick your thoughts in terms of the backing for the summer, boys, for Wayne.
Yeah, I don't think, like Mark said, I don't think it's going to be a huge transfer budget, but there's a bit of work to be done, isn't there? I think, like you said, Martinho, Sace is also out of contract, isn't he? There's a few players at the club themselves that probably need to have conversations with, but I don't see us going in for marquee big name signings anymore. I think it'll be up and coming younger European players potentially.
Yeah, I agree. I think I do think we'll sell Neves. I think if we can sell Neves for sort of 50, 60 million, Adama for 30 million, that's your budget to rebuild because we're self-sufficient. They're not going to throw money at you. They're an investment company, so we'll earn what we sell.
It's got another disappointed person there. Paul Nichols says, no Tyler Calendar then. We're going to work up that on for the 22-23 for our partnership with Playboy. We're working on that, but it's undercover for the moment. Just away from the questions then, thanks for your questions and comments. There's so many coming in, I can't get them all on, but I'll try and keep going through. I want to talk about as well Nelson Semedo as one of our bullet points. he was in and out last season. It took a while to settle. But guys, now this man looks every bit a 35 million, 40 million pound wing back. He looks value for money. The guy does a bit of everything. He doesn't get skinned. He's composed on the ball. I don't think he got forward a lot the weekend, but he didn't need to. What was going on in front of him? So, Knocker, your take on Nelson Semedo, and he's another player that's grown under Bruno.
I think he's been a real success story. I think you messaged the other day and said that we've almost ripped Barcelona off, it feels like now, with that 40 million. And I think you're right, because he looks really, really good. I can't think of a better player in his position at the moment. I really can't. I know I'm getting excited because we've won a game of football, but he just for the last few weeks he's looked like he's getting better every single game. He's fast, like you say, he doesn't get beat now. He's controlled. He gets us up the pitch. He can move him from midfield. He doesn't seem to give the ball away. And yeah, I'm really, really impressed with him. He's getting better and better. Really happy with his performances.
Yeah, I'm delighted.
Would you not like to see? I know I've talked about it before. I've not been critical. Would you not like to see more output from him still going forward? You know, he's not really a threat to the opposition. Or do you think his position now is one where he's more comfortable?
But he's getting in the area now, isn't he? He's getting into the box. He was heavily involved in Dendoncker's goal because he made that run into the area. He was, he only scored one goal. We know that, but I think he's getting into those positions now. I just think maybe we've got a little bit still of an issue of not finishing those chances, but I think he's starting to create. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, earlier on in the season, he had a couple of one-on-ones. He burst through. He scored the other week, didn't he, with the assist from Ain't Nori. He's got it in his locker. Yes, Tyler, I would like to see more from him. I would like to see a bit more in terms of his product, in terms of the positions he gets in, but defensively is where he looked weak last year. And if you're a wing back, your main priority is you've got to be a good defender. But that side of his game now, I'm not saying he's faultless because no defender is, but he doesn't get skinned anymore. His positional sense looked good. He's more aggressive. He doesn't stand off people. He doesn't mind giving a foul away, but he'll happily get in there and try and win the ball as opposed to standing off. And I'm delighted because I know he split the fan base and not everyone was particularly happy with him, but people were looking at, again, maybe the championship manager stats in terms of Doc's assists and Doc's goals, which obviously were a big part, but the team was structured for him to do that. I don't think you could get Doc playing the defensive way that Semedo is now. And I just think I'm delighted. Like Knocker said, I mean, Joe Cancelo, Trent Alexander-Arnold, obviously they're the top of the pecking order. But then you look at the rest.
Trent can't defend. There's a massive myth around Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Yeah, but then that's my point.
Can't defend.
Look at the output at the other end, and for a modern day fullback, that's key, isn't it? You know,
David Beckham's like attached to his leg.
I think if you look at the teams around us, I mean, we had the conversation a few weeks ago about Doc and Semedo, who's the better player. Well, they both played, and Doc may as well have not been on the pitch. Semedo was so much better than he was. He was so much more active, so much more involved in the game. And I think Doc could have gone off at the same time that Sessegnon went off, in all honesty, because he just wasn't impacting the game in any way, shape or form, whereas Semedo always had them on the back foot. I felt like he didn't get forward as much as we said, but they were always wary of him. They always seemed to be trying to solidify that area to stop him getting down, because they were obviously worried about his pace. They was trying to stop him getting down the wing. So I thought he was really good. And yeah, of course you want to see more of an output from him, but I think that'll come because he's improving every game. So that's going to be the natural progression.
Just want to bring in another point from. There's a few people that have tweeted me this, so I'm sorry if I haven't mentioned your name. But in terms of Max Kilman, now the article, remind me, was it Henry Winter that wrote the article? Yeah. And he mentioned there Wolves could get 35, 40 million for Max, and that's created a bit of debate today. Now, exactly. The go-to comparison, and everyone goes, well, Harry Maguire was 85 million. Harry Maguire had just come off, I think it was a World Cup or a European, I think it was a World Cup he'd come off. He'd had a great season at Leicester, and that's fair. But you've got to look at Max Kilman at the moment. And as you guys say, and thanks for your comment, Sean, and a few people have mentioned this as well, to Wolves at the moment, he's priceless because he's Wolves' best defender. He's probably this season, I'll probably say he's Wolves' best player. Him and Jose Sarr. But as the season goes on, Max is getting better and better. I'd be devastated if we sold Max. But and I know it sounds ridiculous, and I can't believe I'm saying it, but I'd want obscene money for it to be okay. And you want, and I'm talking 80, 90, 100 million, because he is that good. He's pocketing forwards every single week. He's now taking people on. His distribution's good. He's winning his headers. I haven't got enough words in my vocabulary range, all right, to compliment him enough. He has been that good. So, Knocker, what price are you accepting for him?
I suppose it depends which teams are coming in for him, doesn't it? I mean, if it's one of the real big 4 teams, then I'm with you, absolutely. The minimum I'm taking is 80 million quid, because I think that's what he's worth to us defensively if we want to progress. And I think he's too good to go to the other teams around us. I think, Spurs, teams like that, I don't think that would be a massive improvement for him. I think if he leaves Wolves, it needs to be for trophies. So, yeah, absolutely. And I think, you're right about Maguire, but surely he's going to be an international before the end of the season. So
that lad's going to the World Cup. If he stays fit, that lad is going to the World Cup. There can be no doubt about it.
You can't take Tyrone Mings over Max Kilman, because no one who knows anything about football thinks that Tyrone Mings is better than Max Kilman. So I think if he gets an opportunity, I think he'll go on the pitch, he'll look bored, he'll pocket some of the best players in the world again, and he goes to the World Cup, because he's at that level as far as I'm concerned. And I agree with your dad. He's the best central defender that I've ever seen at Wolves. And, it's not a massive list, because we spent most of our time in the second tier, but he's far and away, he's better than Lescott. He's better than, I love
Richards.
Dino, but he's better than Dino. He's
Mark
just
Clyde.
Mark Clyde. He's just an outstanding player, and yeah, absolutely. And we're a big team now. Let's not undersell ourselves. We're pushing for Champions League football, so we can't keep giving our top assets away for peanuts. And he's on a long contract as well, so.
Just jumping on top of that, on top of how much is he worth? Bruno, a couple of months ago, this is from Dean Marsden. Bruno, a couple of months ago, back said he needs to realise how good he is. He's looked a lot more confident lately, and emotion coming out, celebration sector, really stepped into himself. Max is believing. I mean, I think one of you guys said to me before, he took Son on 2 or 3 times in that game. He's offering him, cutting inside him, and he's running past Son on his day. Son on his day is world class.
Yeah, definitely.
I've not seen a centre back that comfortable on the ball. I can't really think of anyone. And I know it sounds stupid because I'm level-headed, as you know. I don't get carried away, but I can't remember a centre back. Both feet, like you said, right inside, outside, Cruyff turn, jink, one to. He doesn't seem to not have anything to his game, and it's quite rare, isn't it? And I just hope that Wolves don't do that thing where we get an offer for 25, 30 million and we accept it because we've made so much money because we bought him for peanuts. Either keep him.
Bearing in mind, he's just signed a 5-year deal. We're in a massive
26, isn't it? Give him another new contract because he's that good, isn't he? He's one of those where whatever you give him, you need to double it again because
he's so good.
He's looking the real deal.
Just I want to keep this moving because we're absolutely flying through stuff again now. One of the bullet points was flexibility, but we talked about that earlier on, so I don't think we need to go into that. Another comment here from Ian Thomas. Are we overachieving, or is it because we've never had a team like this before? And that's a really good point, because there is a point of thinking, oh my God, but like you said, like I said earlier on, we have got some great players, but we got hit hard with the disappointment as we usually do against Norwich and Arsenal, and then we're back bounced again after Spurs. So, is there a case of, as you said earlier on, Knocker, as well? Are these guys better than we think they are, or are we overachieving, or is it somewhere in the middle? I think it might be somewhere in the middle. Tyler?
Yeah, I agree. I think you've just told me Semedo's as good as anyone in the league. We talked about Sarr, Kilman, Neves. So if we've got 4 or 5 players that we're saying are as good as anybody else, then maybe Ian's right. We're not overachieving. I think the Wolves fans have just got that stigma, haven't we, of being little old Wolves, and the history tells us we don't really have success, or certainly in the recent years.
Not in our lifetime.
We're all waiting for it to fall down, aren't we? Let's be honest. We're all waiting for it to go tits up, and we get sold, and that's Wolves for you, isn't it? But I don't think we are, I think, like I said, 10th or 12th is where I saw us at the start of the season. But yeah, now maybe finishing there would be disappointing. Are the 7, 8 teams better than us this season? Not at the moment, there aren't. So maybe we're not. Maybe we are where we deserve to be.
Just want to jump in quickly, guys. We've got about 10 minutes of the show left. At the end of the show, we do our predictions. there were some interesting predictions last week, but we're really keen to get your predictions and first scorers on. And we're going to try and run a tally who does it. And we'd love that person that got the most. It's a point for the correct score, point for the first scorer, tally up at the end of the season. We'd love you to come and join us on the show. I don't know if that's a prize or a punishment. You can decide. But we'd love you to come on. It adds a bit more interaction to the show. So I know some people have been pinging their scores and predictions in. I'll get them up at the end of the show. Knocker can take tabs and we can go from there. This is a really interesting one now, and I'm glad we're finishing this before we talk about the Leicester game. And we briefly talked about it with Neto and Johnny. What is our strongest team with everybody fit? That's quite a delicious thought, to be honest. I mean, I've been sent you guys some teams. I'm trying to fudge Johnny into the team somewhere because the best Johnny is very, very good, but I don't want to drop out Nori. But imagine being in that position when everyone's fit, the positive problems that we're going to have. Now, for me, a fully fit Neto gets in.
Yeah.
But then you've got to drop Podence, who's been really good this season. Or do you go 4-3-3?
I don't drop Podence. Mine's the 3-4-3 with Neto and Podence off him all day long. And, you know, without sort of taking it too granular about your opposition, whether you're home or away, on paper, that 3-4-3 is, in my opinion, our best 11.
So what we're saying then, so we're going. I mean, so, let's say Bolly comes back to old Bolly.
No, I'm keeping size because the unit works. The unit works, doesn't it? That's the key. It's not about the individual; it's about the unit. Yeah, so size, Kilman, Cody.
Size, Kilman, Cody, Semedo, ain't Nuri or Johnny.
Ain't Nuri. I think his delivery's better from set pieces.
In terms of going forward, then Matinho, Neves, and then Podence, Jimenez, Neto.
Yeah,
that's mine.
I so wish
it's not bad, is it?
I so wish we were in the cup still. I so wish we were in the cup. It's so frustrating. Yeah, some scores coming in now. Keep them coming in. We'll keep tabs. We'll get as many up on the screen and we'll give our predictions. So while we're on that subject, let's talk about the team for Leicester. Obviously, we talked about the manager's flexibility. We don't know how he's going to set up 3-4-3, 3-5-2. It's either one of those two, very likely. But Leicester play three in the midfield, so I've kind of got a feeling it'll be 3-5-2 again. Knocker, what are you thinking for Leicester?
I think it'll be 3-5-2. I think if Martinez's fit, he'll come in for Kundle, and I think he'll go Cundle, Dendoncker and Neves in midfield, and then I think everything else will be the same, to be honest. I think if we do need to match them up because they are a little bit dangerous, but they will give you a lot of opportunities, especially from corners. Yeah. So I think we'll look to exploit the space behind them, similar to the way we did against Spurs.
Tyler, what's your team for Leicester?
I think you're probably right. Defensively, they've been a shambles, haven't they, this season, Leicester, from set pieces, and you've got to exploit, haven't you? Like Aït-Nouri's delivery, Dendoncker with his height. I'm never one for picking players on sort of size and physique, but it'd be another physical presence for them to deal with. It works so well, didn't it? I mean, you can't always replicate the performances, can you? But it's hard to change it, isn't it? But I'm with Mark. If Martinho's fit, he always plays. So that would be probably my only change if we need to make it. And like I said, the good thing is that if it's not going well, you've got Trincao, Wang.
Yeah.
You know, there are Fabio. There are genuine options now that if it isn't going well at 3-5-2, you can change it. And like you've said briefly about the flexibility, we've got that now with players coming back from injury.
First time all season, and we're 20 odd games in, and we're now getting to the point where we've got real options to finish the season with, and it's a good place to be.
Told you we didn't need to sign anybody.
Let's not go down that road.
I'm the same with you guys. I think it'll be 3-5-2. I haven't heard anything in terms of the severity of Martinez's injury. Apparently, he felt it in training. I don't think he pulled up. He just felt something. And that's the last I've heard. So I don't know. I haven't seen anything official or unofficial. I don't really know. But if it was the same team that started at Spurs, I'll be comfortable with that. I think that team deserves to go again. I wouldn't be against 3-4-3, but I think we have to be mindful they play a midfield three with Tielemans. I think they have Maddison in there. I don't know if he's Ndidi fit. Is he playing there as well?
They've got some good players in there.
Yeah, they've got some good players in that middle of the park. So we have to be mindful of that. There was something you guys mentioned, and I've found it as you were talking. It was Spencer Koma. If all's finished 10th, would you see that as a disappointment now, as we would have all taken that in August? I think that's a really good question. I know this is one that you mentioned earlier on, Knocker, but that's a really good question. I think if you'd have offered me in August to finish 10th, I'd have been absolutely buzzing. A comfortable survival would have made me happy to go again, to see the new manager implement his ideas and try and kick on from that. But now someone's dangling that carrot in front of me. I mean, and I know we've sort of crossed swords a bit on this, Tyler. Even if we got the Europa Conference League, I'm buzzing for that.
Yeah,
I want to go to Latvia. I want to go to Latvia.
Yeah,
I want to go to Latvia. I want to be freezing cold on a mountain, right, with no stand, all right, and enjoy. And it's the trip. You know what I mean? I'll take that. But do you know what? I mean, 40's up for grabs. I don't think it'll be us. I think it'll be one of the teams who've got a bigger squad than us that will manage it better. Yeah. But I do think the Europa League is on. I do genuinely believe that's on. But would I be disappointed if we finish 10th now? Yeah, I would. Yeah. And then that might sound ungrateful, but I would. Off you go, Knocker.
Like you said,
Tyler, sorry
to put in, but I think we said at the end of this month we'll know where we're at, won't we? And we've won one and we've lost one. And if we'd have beat Arsenal at home and lost to Spurs, flicked it, would have taken it, would have probably thought, oh yeah, that's what, we'd take that. If we can come away from Leicester or West Ham with 4 points, it's on then, isn't it? It genuinely is on. And you would be disappointed if you finished 10th. It happened a few years ago with the lockdown, didn't it? We just fell away, didn't we, after Nuno with the COVID as it went behind closed doors. We don't want to go through that again, do we? Sorry, Knocker, I've gone over. But if we get 4 points, like you said, Ryan, it's on.
No, I agree. I think start of the season, I'd rip your hand off for 10th. I think after the Arsenal game, I'd rip your hand off for 10th. But now I think we're going to be disappointed now. If we finish outside probably 8th now, I think we're going to be disappointed because you look at the teams below us and there's really not a lot there. So I think that the teams above us, we've played them all and no one scored more than 2 goals past us at any point of the season. So I think we've got to believe that we've got an opportunity. And I'm with you, right? If we get Europa Conference League, I'll be absolutely buzzing for that. And if we win it, it'll be as big for me as anything else because it'll be a trophy.
Yeah, and I know I'm going over old ground in, and I know Tyler says it's tin pot, and everyone's entitled to their opinion, but I can't get over the fact that our last trophy was over 40 years ago. And you might say it's tin pot, but it'd be a European final in a different country with potentially 30 or 40,000 Wolves fans. Mate, I count anything, mate.
Half of them countries aren't in Europe, are they? I don't even know where they are.
Tyler, if Wolves got to the Papa John's final, all right, we'd take an absolute load to Wembley watching the kids. It will be mental. I'll take it. Oh, I hope so, mate. We all love pizza on this show.
We'll be getting tattoos after the game if we win the Papa John's. You've got to get those, any kind of highs you can get in football, you've got to take because there's more than enough lows, isn't there? So if we get a chance to play in the Conference League and if we get a chance to play some of these European sides and if we ever manage to win that trophy, for me, that's as big as anything else we've achieved in my lifetime because it is a trophy.
If you win it, you get automatic qualification to the Europa League. That might not sound like a lot, but that's 3 guaranteed home games against all right European opposition. Now, I was having a look earlier on. I was just looking just to see what the money is for the Champions League, the difference, just in case. And honestly, guys, it's mind blowing. You get in there, and the cash is just. I mean, it's different sponsors. I think you keep all your gate money from European games. It's a whole new world. I mean. I'm teasing myself now, and I'll be mad again the weekend. I'll go all Tyler. So right then, any more predictions? Get them in, please. Guys, give me your predictions and scores and anything else you've got for me. Go.
You go first, son, and I'll balance off yours.
I'm going. Oof.
You want me to go for? I'll say 2-0 to Leicester. Maddison, purely because it worked last time round, and I'm happy for it to work again. I'm happy to finish bottom of that prediction league, lads. If it means
just to be clear, Tyler, if we win though, are you going to take your top off next week? No, okay. Knocker.
I'm going to go 1-1. I fancy a draw in this one. I fancy us to get 4 points from this, but I think we'll get a draw out of Leicester, and I think. I actually fancy Max. I fancy Max from the corner. Bang, 1-0.
A Max on the corner. Well, I'm going to stick with what I did last week. I'm going to go with the Wolves win because that's who I am. I'll fall for this. I'll fall for it again. Last week you forced me into it because you both said we'd lose. I'm going to go 3-1 again. I'm going to go Raoul. Thank you everyone for watching. Thank you for the comments. This has been episode 21 of the Wolves Report. You can follow us on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter. Thank you for your comments. I hope you join again soon. Up the Wolves.